Namaskar. Capitalism and democracy must not share the same bed. The relationship between capitalism and democracy is complex, and there are both arguments in favor of coexisting the concerns about potential conflicts. Here are some reasons why capitalism and democracy must not share the same bed. First of all, wealth inequality. A key concerns in the nexus of capitalism and democracy, a central and profound concern arising from the coexistence of capitalism and democracy revolves around the potential exacerbation of wealth inequality. This predicament stems from the inherent dynamics of capitalism, which can culminate in the substantial concentration of wealth within the grasp of a select few. The ramifications of this accumulation reverberate beyond the realm of economics, penetrating the very core of democratic ideals concerned and centered on equitable representation. When a disproportionate share of wealth becomes ensconced within the hands of a privileged minority, it poses a tangible threat to the foundational tenet of democracy, equal representation. The essence of democracy rests on the notion that each individual's voice carries comparable weight in shaping collective decisions. However, the concentration of economic power, a hallmark of capitalist systems, can inexorably translate into distortion of this principle. This transformation of economic influence into political clout constitutes a potential pitfall as it wields the capacity to wrap policy formulation to and implementation. The ramifications of such a distortion are palpable as policies molded under the influence of concentrated wealth might disproportionately favor the affluent few, leading to repercussions borne by the broader populace. The integrity of a democratic governance becomes compromised when policies emerge that cater to the interests of the prosperous elite while potentially overlooking the needs and welfare of the wider population. In this intricate interplay between capitalism and democracy, the equilibrium between economic agency and democratic parity remains a perpetual concern, necessitating a delicate balancing act to ensure that the bed they share is one of the mutual benefit rather than imbalance. Intricacies of a lobbying and corporate influence in capitalist frameworks is another very important concern in this regard. Within the intricate tapestry of capitalist systems, a salient facet that warrants profound consideration revolves around the potential of lobbying and corporate influence. Inherent in these systems is the reality that corporations endowed with substantial resources and affluent individuals possess the means to embark upon extensive endeavors of lobbying and campaign contributions. However, beneath this surface lies a labyrinthine network of implications that extend far beyond financial transactions. At the heart of this matter lies the perturbing potential for the alteration of the democratic course. The principle of quote-unquote one person, one vote, the cornerstone of democratic governance, hinges on the notion that every individual's influence bears parity in the realm of policy formulation. At when corporate entities and privileged elites marshal their considerable resources to sway the trajectory of decision making, the equilibrium inherent in this principle is assailed. The ramifications of this dynamic are profound and intricate. The gravitational pull exerted by corporate coffers and affluent donors can mold the contours of policy outcomes, casting shadows of doubt upon authenticity of democratic representation. This interplay between capitalist agenda and politics evokes concerns about the integrity of decision-making processes, raising the disconcerting prospect that policies may be forged not solely in the crucible of public interest, but rather in the crucible of pecuniary influence. In this intricate juncture where capitalism and democracy intersect, the question of whether the symphony of governance resonates with the multitude or caters to a privileged cadence becomes a fulcrum point of deliberation. The juxtaposition of financial prowess and democratic equity underscores the necessity for vigilant safeguards to prevent the distortion of democratic discourse. This beacons for a nuanced discourse on how to orchestrate harmonious coexistence where both capitalism's dynamism and democracy's egalitarian echoes can flourish without compromising the fundamental tenets of a just and equitable society. The potential erosion of public welfare in the wake of unregulated capitalism is at another important issue here. In the discourse surrounding the interplay between unbridled capitalism and the sustenance of public welfare, a poignant contention arises: the propensity for profit to eclipse the sanctity of societal well-being. This contentions orbits a central query: whether unregulated capitalist forces left to burgeon unchecked might navigate the trajectory of resource allocation towards a singular pursuit of financial gain, albeit at the expense of the broader capital public welfare. Embedded within this contention is a multi-layered narrative with profound implications for the equitable functioning of societies. The ascendancy of market forces, often held as the bedrock of capitalist economies, can evolve into a double-edged sword. While their dynamic vigor has the potential to propel economies to new pinnacles of growth, it concurrently harbors the propensity to undermine the very social fabric upon which cohesive societies are woven. The crux of this predicament resides in the potential abnegation of essential services, the lifeblood of a thriving society. Services such as healthcare, education, and social safety nets, which should ideally serve as pillars of collective well-being, stand imperiled by the all-encompassing allure of profit maximization. Unfettered capitalism without the guiding hand of regulation may cast a pall of uncertainty over the sustenance of these services. The specter of underfunding or privatization emerges, casting shadows of doubt upon the accessibility of these services to those who need them most. Vulnerable populations, in particular, teeter on the precipice of being disproportionately affected. The sanctity of equal opportunity and social inclusivity, fundamental underpinnings of a just society, might erode as the tempestuous winds of profit-driven dynamics sweep over the societal landscape. The voice of concern raised by critics underscores the imperative for a calibrated equilibrium, one that allows the engine of capitalism to propel progress while concurrently safeguarding the fundamental rights and dignities that underpin the collective welfare. In this delicate equilibrium, the challenge lies in the cohesive orchestration of policies that harness capitalism's vibrancy for societal betterment while mitigating its potential for fracturing the cohesion that ensures public welfare. As the discourse endures, so does the collective endeavor to fashion an equilibrium that honors the spirit of progress without forsaking the principles of compassion, and inclusivity.